Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
By writer, director, producer, freshly shorn, Robert Meyer Burnett.
Game day.
It is game day, everybody. Fantastic Four is here. It's fun. We're going to see it in 3 hours. 3 hours, the screening starts for us. And I was just thinking about this morning as putting those together. I swear it just feels like last week that I was sitting in this room. Now, this is before we moved to the other studio. Remember that? We had another studio for a while.
Yeah.
Do I remember it?
Do I?
Before we moved to the other studio. Sitting in this room and doing my coverage of the live stream of the Disney Investors Call, where they announced a whole bunch of things, including they were doing Fantastic Four. And that's got to be, 4 years ago now? Something like that. But regardless, here we are. It is the day. It comes out today. Cannot wait to go see it. Anyway, guys, I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Good to have you guys here. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, well, that's when we take your comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, topic, or opinion, or question you'd like us to address, as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on our show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news about that tip link. It's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you happen to be listening to our show on podcasts, say either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a question. And if you send one in when we're not live, well, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that all down, let's get to some topics here, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. K-pop Demon Hunters. It's all my wife talks about. Man, she loved it. And I feel like every time I walk into the room, it's either K-pop Demon Hunters. You know what her new addiction is? It's always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's a good one.
She's never watched it. I've never watched it.
Are you kidding me?
So she's starting on season 1.
Oh,
She's already through season 1. She's on season 2 now. It's still 4x3.
Yeah.
That's how long this show's been on TV.
16 years.
So they're on season 17 now.
Yeah, but I mean 16
Isn't that
past. Yeah.
crazy? Anyway, so K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, a bunch of our viewers wrote in and said, John, you should really check out K-pop Demon Hunters. I'm like, it doesn't look like it's for me, but I'll try it out. They lost me at the Demon Boy Band. That movie lost me at the Demon Boy Band. I'm not crap talking it. I'm just saying it wasn't for me. I tried it. Wasn't for me. That's fine. But just because it didn't really work for me doesn't mean it hasn't worked for a hell of a lot of people. And as a result of it working for a lot of people, including my wife, it is crushing records that Netflix thought maybe would never get beaten. Forbes runs this headline saying Netflix's K-pop Demon Hunter just made history with new records. And the folks over at Puck write out like this. Netflix never thought they really had... let's try the K-pop Demon Hunter, produced by Sony Pix Animation as a part of its Netflix deal, is just unstoppable and giving Netflix the kind of hit it really has never had to date, which is kind of weird to consider at this point Netflix's trajectory. Let's dive into the numbers. It's the first Netflix film in the service's history to, number one, get over 20 million views in its 5th week. It's still pulling in over 20 million views in its 5th week. No other Netflix original's ever done that. It's the first one to ever do 20 plus million views 4 weeks in a row. Even Red Notice, their number 1 original film of all time, never did that. Have its biggest weekly count number on its 5th week. So its 5th week is its biggest week yet. Normally it's the thing's first week and then it goes down from there. The 5th week is its biggest week yet. Now, to put some of this into perspective, in week 1, it got 9.3 million views. In week number 2, that jumped to 24.2. In week number 3, 22.7. And then it just started going up and kept going up. In week 4, 24.2. And in week 5, 25.8. Now, for more context, you put that against what was their biggest animated original ever, Adam Sandler's Leo. It opened with 34.6 million, dropped to 23.6. Week 3 dropped to 14.2. Week 4 dropped to 9.4. Week 5 dropped to 7.2, which are remarkable numbers.
And it's normal. It's a normal trajectory.
Yeah, and remarkable numbers for something like this. But look at K-pop's numbers. They just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is a movie I do not like.
If that was a stock I owned, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just buy it at 9, it goes all the way up.
Fortunately, a couple of my ETFs have Netflix in the portfolio, so I've benefited from it a bit there. But this is insane. And, when I saw these numbers, I started thinking, okay, but for why? To quote Chris Carr, but for why? Why is it ain't its story? It's its music, man. Because even somebody who doesn't really like the movie, and I'm in the minority, but even I got to say,
you're tapping your toe.
You're tapping your foot, man. You're listening to that music and it's actually really catchy.
I wonder if people are just putting it on and like going about their daily like chores and stuff.
Oh,
and
I'm sure.
Just listening to it,
I'm sure some people are doing that. And then its soundtrack like topped all the charts. Like all the charts. It got up there and held it. So I've got to believe, there's something catchy, obviously, as a movie as a whole, with this many people watching. There are things about it that a lot of people enjoy, but I got to believe that the main driving force behind this is simply the music of it. And even I got to say, these little girls, because they showed the behind, I was, walking in when Ann was watching the post credit and they showed the actual girls doing the singing. Man, these little girls can sing. Like, they're not Celine Dion, don't get me wrong, or anything like that. But, oh my God, these little girls can sing. And it's pretty catchy. And look, just because it's not for me, doesn't mean we shouldn't take a moment here and acknowledge, to quote Roman Reigns, acknowledge me, to acknowledge just the spectacular performance this thing has had. It's absolutely nuts. And listen, say what you want about Sony in a lot of different areas. Woo! When it comes to their animation stuff right now, they're kind of slaying, man. I can't believe I just used the term slaying and not referring to the killing of a dragon. But yeah.
Come on, man. That's top word now. No cap.
They are destroying it. And listen, it may not be for you, but you have to tip your cap, man. When you have something with this kind of success, you're doing something right. It may not be something right that works for you. It may not be something right that works for me. But holy crap, they're doing something right. Rob, you see these numbers. This is a star. Again, their #1 performing original film ever on Netflix. Never had 4 weeks in a row with 20+ million views. Anyway, what's your takeaway from this?
Well, I feel whenever I'm talking about anything to do with K-pop or all girl groups or something from Korea that I'm venturing into an old man territory I don't want to go into. But, if you bring up Lalisa on White Lotus, I'm like, yep. But, I think, look, this more than anything, I think this speaks to a changing demographic in terms of what people are interested in. The penetration of Asian culture into youth culture of the West, of America, for instance, and Western nations, it's providing an authenticity, a uniqueness, an originality, something that American entertainment just doesn't have. And, the vast topics that manga covers, the kinds of stories that are being told, the vibe from anime of any kind, but the whole realm of K-pop is sort of inherently optimistic and fun. Fun in a bubblegum, futuristic, hot way that has a certain innocence to it at the same time, even though they're fighting demons. And I think that it's something that we just don't have here. There's no American equivalent to this, or at least the way it feels. And I think that's part of its appeal. There's something irresistible about it. Like, look, I say I'm an old man, but when I first heard, I didn't know anything about BTS. I didn't listen to that music. But when I heard the Blackpink song Boombaya, that was the first hit of theirs I heard, and I'm like, it made me feel like I was hearing Sieg Sputnik in the mid 80s singing Love Missile F-111 from like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I'm like, what is this? Gangnam Style, whatever. It was that there was something different about it that it's infectious. And I think that it does not surprise me because I've heard more people, more different, disparate people talking about this particular movie. People keep asking me on social media. I have friends. I got friends going, friends my age going, what do you know about this K-pop Demon Hunters movie? And my kids are really into it. I'm like, I haven't watched it yet, but apparently a lot of people are, according to these numbers. And there's something, they're catching fire with this. And I think that I like where it's going.
Yeah, and this is a great example, again, of saying, like we always say, we want everything to do well. Even if it's stuff that we don't like. We want it to do well. We want, if it's giving joy to other people. And again, I cannot emphasize this point enough. K-pop Demon Hunter is not for me. It does not work for me. I did not like it. I couldn't even make it all the way through it. But I'm thrilled for a success. And I'm thrilled for everybody who enjoys it and watches it and gets something out of it, something that I'm clearly not getting out of it, but that's fine. And I think it's great for them, and that just means they'll get more stuff like it for those audiences who are enjoying it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? This little K-pop Demon Hunter is putting up numbers that Netflix has never seen before. What's standing out to you the most? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this. Remember we were supposed to get a Michael Jackson biopic?
Anton Fuqua.
They showed us the first footage for it 2 CinemaCons ago. 2 CinemaCons ago. They showed us, and the footage looked amazing. I mean, it floored me. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be $1 billion film. I didn't think so before I saw the footage, and I saw the footage. And I'm like, yep, no doubt this is going to be $1 billion film. Well, then you guys might remember that they ran into a bit of a problem. They shot stuff for the movie, significant stuff for the movie, that the estate of Michael Jackson forgot to tell them they're not allowed to make.
Yeah.
Particularly involving a family who had a pre-existing legal agreement with the Michael Jackson estate that no dramatization of Michael Jackson's life could ever include them. The estate forgot. Oopsie. And they forgot to tell Lionsgate. Oopsie. And so they made the movie, and then it was all of a sudden, oh, you got that whole big chunk of the movie, you got to go back. Anyway, they've had to go back and do 22 days of reshooting. And as a result, the Michael Jackson movie now has a new date. And it is dated for April 24th, 2026. But there's other news regarding it as well, besides this April 4th, 2026 date. They're going to end the movie when Michael Jackson leaves the Jackson 5 in 1979. Now, you might think, wait a minute, that little sizzle they put out? We saw clips of him when he was clearly post-1979. Well, that's because it appears, at least, the other report we gave you guys a couple of months ago that they were going to be splitting this Michael Jackson movie into 2. It looks like that's exactly what they're doing. This comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter, who said Puck reported in January that Mike, and we did too, that Michael's previously planned third act had to be retooled due to its including a dramatization of an individual who accused Jackson of child sexual abuse. The accuser had a past settlement with the performer's estate stipulating that he would never be dramatized, so you can't use him in any kind of retelling. Now, this is where it gets key. Sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that a second film focusing on the rest of Jackson's career post-1979 remains in development. In development, I know you already shot most of it because it was originally going to be one film. Anyway.
You mean the part of Michael's life that everybody wants to see?
Yeah, the part of Michael's life that was in most of the sizzle reel stuff they showed us. Anyway, remains in development. Jackson certainly accomplished a lot in the music world after 1979, given that his 1982 album, Thriller, featuring singles Beat It, Billie Jean, remains the best-selling album ever. Jackson died in June of 2009 at age 50. So, in development. They're talking as if they're about to get everybody back together and just shoot a new movie from scratch.
Right.
This was clearly a lot of the stuff has already been shot. But remember, the reports started coming out that this was looking like it might end up being a 4-hour movie. And that just doesn't fly today. It just doesn't fly today. And we said at the time, Rob, that splitting the Jackson movie into 2 separate movies is actually a brilliant thing because you clearly have enough material. Right? If the movie was going to be 4+ hours long, you have enough material to make a 2-hour and 15-minute movies or something along those lines. If the first Michael Jackson movie was going to make, let's pull out a number, I said $1 billion, but let's go lower. Let's say 750 million. Let's say the first Michael Jackson movie is going to make, well, everybody's going to come back and watch the second one.
Especially because it seems like the second movie is covering his adult life where he was making
The parts that everybody knew about.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, the child and
when he broke
Jackson
out the
5 is cool.
moonwalk at, what was it, the MTV Movie Award?
No, it
Music
was,
Awards or something like that.
It wasn't the Grammys
It wasn't
either.
an award show, though.
Yeah.
It was some
B-
awards.
was it the BET Awards?
No.
No.
I think it was like, I'll look it up.
American Music Awards, something, where he broke out the moonwalk. Like, it wasn't his first time doing the moonwalk, but it was the first time a lot of the world saw it. It was like, woo! Like, you're gonna dramatize that moment. Well, now suddenly your $750 million movie is now a $1.5 billion movie. And so, anyway, Rob, they've kind of officially made it all official now. We've got the new release date. It's been pushed into 2026. Understandable with all the reshoots they've had.
The Motown 25th anniversary.
Oh, there you go.
That sounds
in
right.
Pasadena, California.
And now they're saying, they're going to end the first one in 1979. Second one will be post that. What's standing out to you about this?
Well, it's funny because to me, Michael Jackson was always an omnipresent force in pop culture, even when I was a kid, because the Jackson 5, A, B, C.
Yep.
And I 1, 2, 3. I mean, Michael Jackson's been such a fabric of 20th century, the latter half of the 20th century American pop culture, the Jackson 5, and then Michael Jackson himself, and working with Quincy Jones. And, when Thriller came out, it really established MTV. I mean, MTV had only been on the air a couple of years. And that video that John Landis directed, that Deborah Nadoolman did the costumes for, who I interviewed on Designing Hollywood a couple months ago, she talks about doing Thriller.
I remember the night it debuted.
Yeah, and I remember that. And then they came out with the making of video on
right.
You could buy that on home video on VHS. And then, of course, in '85 there was Do They Know It's Christmas, and then We Are the World.
Yep.
And that was another big thing, in addition to the fact that Thriller was one of the biggest albums, in the world.
Still the biggest selling album of all time.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, when I was working at a store called Silver Platters, when they released the first believe it or not, this is such a weird thing to say now, but they had pictures actually imprinted on CDs instead of just text.
Right.
And that was a big deal. And they released Bad. Michael Jackson's Bad was one of those first picture discs, which is silly to think that. Weren't there always pictures on? No. And I remember when Michael Jackson's Bad came out, and Faith by George Michael. And it was like a big deal. And Martin Scorsese directed the video for Bad. And so there was Michael Jackson he's looming large for so long that I think these biopics, and you think about it, when you get to 1979, I'm not to say that that's not a good thing, but look, this kid that they cast, it's isn't it a relative of Michael Jackson's? It's one of the Jackson 5's kids.
Nephew.
It's his nephew.
It's his brother's kid.
You don't even get to him.
And in the footage they showed us, we couldn't tell it wasn't Michael Jackson. It's uncanny.
Unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
And we don't even, with this first movie, you don't even get to that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm looking forward to this. Anton Fuqua is a fantastic director. Our friend Cliff Stevenson has been on set documenting the making of the film. It's going to be interesting about what he's going to be able to show in terms of all that. But look at this guy. This is an amazing likeness. And remember when his hair caught on fire when they were doing the Pepsi commercial? There's so much cool stuff. And of course they're going to have the second movie. But I got to tell you, look, I am a sucker for musical biopics, even though they're always the same. They ultimately have the same kind of trajectory. The only thing about this Michael Jackson biopic is, he didn't descend into cocaine use and stuff like that, like everybody else. But I can't wait to see this film. I'm sure it's going to be incredibly dynamic. I love Bohemian Rhapsody, and I loved Rocket Man. I'm looking forward to this.
This movie's going to end with a huge hook, though, because that's right when he did Off the Wall. That was
yeah.
So they're probably gonna end the movie with Don't Stop Till You Get Enough or Off the Wall to the movie credits. So people are like, oh, what is in the next moments.
Yeah.
I still remember the first time I heard one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs is Black or White.
Oh yeah.
And I remember one of the first times I ever heard it. It was during one of his live performances, and the announcer, he's in some stadium, and the announcer comes on. And of course, Guns N' Roses was very big at the time, said, joining Michael on stage, and he specifically used the words, his good friend Slash. And I remember as a kid, turned to my friend and said, those two have never had dinner together. But anyway, but seeing Slash on stage with Michael Jackson doing that awesome riff from Black and White, like it's very catchy, right?
Oh, yeah.
And seeing Slash out there with Michael Jackson doing it, that was pretty dang good. By the way, that music video was a revelation of visual effects.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, it was.
That music video, as like the world today, it's like if you look at it today, you're thinking, okay, what's the big deal? We had never seen anything like that.
Not in a movie, and we saw it.
Not in a movie.
in
No,
a thing.
never had we ever seen visual effects like that. As the faces morphed into other faces.
Again, he
It
was a
groundbreaking.
pioneer. Even stuff, or as early as Off the Wall when they were doing music clips before MTV, he was pioneering that form. I got to say, John, this is InArt, which is a high-end action figure company, even above Hot Toys, just released a Michael Jackson action figure.
Are they the ones with like the eyeballs and the teeth and all
Yeah,
that?
it's awesome. I gotta get it. I don't know what tour it's from, but he looks like he vaguely looks like if Ace Frehley from Kiss were Michael Jackson, it would be that suit, and it's awesome. I have to
All
have
right,
it.
guys. The question is for you. What do you think about this? The Michael biopic has now been two things: moved to 2026, now coming out in April of 2026, which we kind of expected. Secondly, though, which we also expected, maybe even the bigger news here, is that it does look like it's going to be broken into two movies. One ending in 1979 when he leaves the Jackson 5, then one picking up with his solo career after that. What do you think about this whole thing? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Last night, I went to go see the new Dave Franco, Alison, Brie, they're married in real life, little horror film, Together. Directed by Michael Shanks?
No, is it Michael?
By something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's the guy from Stargate SG-1.
No, it's not.
It is not. It's a totally different guy. So I went to go see it. I remember.
Shanks.
What's that?
It's
Shanks.
It is Shanks.
And he wrote it.
And he wrote and directed it, but it is not the guy from Stargate SG-1. So anyway, I went to go see this thing. We saw our first previews for this at CinemaCon. And we all thought, okay, this looks pretty fun. This looks really creepy and very fun. So Ann and I go to see it last night. And I loved it. Actually, the more I was talking to Ann this morning, the more I think about the movie, the more I liked it. And it's a very simple, like 90% of the movie, those are the only two on screen together. That's it.
Yeah.
There's like a scene early in the movie before they move to their little country house where they're having a little goodbye party with their friends. That is literally like the only scene where there's multiple people. Then there's like one other character in the movie, one or two other, and that's about it. Like, but 90% of the movie is literally just the two of them in a room, various different rooms and talking to each other and creepy things happening. I did not know really what to expect, but you know what I was not expecting? I wasn't expecting it to be as funny as it was. It's not a horror comedy, but it is very funny in places. And the chemistry, I mean, you can tell, Ann said coming out, you could tell they're married in real life. You can just tell because there's a chemistry you can't manufacture that they have. They have a shorthand together on screen that flowed so well that it just played absolutely beautifully. And then you could tell when they're making their little barbs and jokes at each other, it just felt so pure, right? And you couldn't help but be like, you're going in between going, oh my God, and like through the whole movie, you're ping-ponging back and forth. It's not, again, I don't want to misrepresent it. It's not like Shaun of the Dead, that it's a rom-com a romantic comedy with zombies. That's not this movie. It is distinctly a horror film that just happens to have a good amount of charm and laughs in it as well. But it never loses sight that at its heart, it's a little horror film, little indie horror film. And man, the body horror in it, there were so many times in this movie, Anne and I did too, to a degree, like had to cover her face and curl up in a ball. Again, just Rob, it's the fundamentals. Crisp, real feeling dialogue, interesting characters with some depth, some great key pivotal moments, good humor to lighten things up when things were getting really heavy, And then bang, when they'd hit you with these bigger shots.
Sure.
When I say big, it's a small independent film, but these bigger shots, these ones that make you go, "Ah," and want to retreat into the seat behind you. It was just all that. Now, I did my out of theater reaction review last night, and a lot of you guys saw that. But it wasn't until this morning that I thought, I could see how maybe some people didn't like it, though. I could see how some people wouldn't like it. I mean, I really loved it. So I loaded up Rotten Tomatoes. It's got 100%. And it's not with 5 reviews. It's with 55 reviews already. Now, I'm not saying it's going to hold at 100%. But, I mean, and let's just take a minute and read some of the things. Filmic wrote, raw and emotionally honest at the same times as being brittle and snarky, a truly modern feeling horror film that delves into its themes with fearless alacrity. I don't even know that word. There you go. I'm learning one new one every day. Matt Oakes from Silver Screen wrote, a twisted love story that's equally weird, funny, and utterly nasty, taking their growing together to grotesquely literal extremes. Geek Vibes wrote, Michael Shank's debut feature film Together is the best time you'll have in a theater this year. It's fun, hilarious, and has some of the most disturbing body horror images of the decade. Synapse wrote, make no mistake, Together is as much a sweet and hilarious romantic comedy as it is a truly disgusting horror film. I'll disagree with him on that. I think it has elements of that, but it's not as much that as it is a horror film. Anyway, and it's the symbiotic relationship between Shanks, Franco, and Brie that makes the film disparate tones fuse so well. Anyway, the whole thing, it's 100%. I could just keep reading them, but they're all just positive. And a funny thing happened because it was an early fan screening. You know what they do at a lot of these early fan screenings? They have the stars come up on the screen first, say, hey, everybody, thanks so much for coming out to this early fan screen or whatever. So it's Alison, Brie, and Dave Franco sitting in their house, recording on their iPhone or something, and saying, thank you, everybody. We had such a great time making this. And you see their cat walk into the picture. I hate cats.
Oh, come on.
I hate cats. And Ann and I just looked at each other like, that just ruined this couple for me. Anyway, so this cat walks in. And they're like, and thank you for coming. Then Dave Franco holds the cat. Thank you for coming and blah, blah, blah. And just before they're about to say goodbye, the cat, for no reason, just kind of does a little meh and freaks out and jumps away. And Franco's like, ow. And then the screen, they go, thanks, enjoy the movie. And then the screen goes black and the text comes, white text on a black screen comes up. No animals are harmed during this recording. And then the words underneath it, except for Dave, that cuts back to a still of Dave with these 2 giant red scratches down his arm. I'm like, and that's why cats can go fuck themselves. Anyway.
Oh, please. I've been bit by dogs. Fuck dogs.
Yeah. Well,
cats.
We have both.
Cats.
I do too.
Anyway.
I love all animals.
But man, and I came out of it saying, and I said this in my post review, I said, I don't know that I've ever said this about a horror film. This is a date movie, man. This is totally a date movie. This is a great date movie. I had a ball with this movie, Rob. I really did. Now, I know you haven't had a chance to see it yet yourself, but I know you've been looking forward to it.
Dying to see it.
What was it what were the things about it that's made you excited about
Well,
it?
first of all, body horror is one of my favorite subgenres of horror. Anytime the human body is corrupted by something, whether it's Videodrome, whether it's The Substance, whether it's Cronenberg's The Fly, nobody does body horror better than Cronenberg, his early work, especially like The Brood. But I saw this, and you know what I love about this? And again, from an intellectual standpoint, the idea that you're dealing with a real human subject, which is how does a marriage grow and develop? And when you've been married, how do you keep that spark alive? How do you keep that honesty alive? How do you keep that relationship alive? And then using horror as an allegorical or a device to allow you to examine the basic human truths, but then in a very perverted lens of body horror. To me, that's the best kind of horror movie. It's not about whether there's somebody out there stalking you, a mass killer. It's about the fact that the corruption of our mortal bodies and all of that will always betray us. We're going to be betrayed. It's not just about death. It's about the inevitability of all of it. And when you have a relationship that can fall apart if it's not maintained, Same is true of your body. And to combine those two things into one,
And I'll tell you what else it adds in
I'm
there.
like, yeah,
One
buddy.
of the key central themes is that it's almost what is happening with their bodies is like a physical representation of our fear of intimacy.
100%.
And now that sounds like it's highbrow. They play it so perfectly that you will find what's going on in the movie very relatable.
But you know what? Great horror is highbrow, and you
Yes.
just don't realize it. You know, you just don't. The horror makes
If
the thing
it's
like,
done
this
right.
is basic. Yeah, like Cronenberg's The Fly is a perfect example of that. And that's why I think the body horror genre has probably the most to say about what it means to be human.
Well, I mean, that's what The Substance is.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that really is what The Substance is. And look, this isn't as grotesque visually as body horror is like something like The Substance, but it will nonetheless have you curling your toes. Going,
Oh, yeah.
"Ah!"
Just look, they had a shot in the trailer with two eyelashes that
Right.
just going,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh yeah, count me in.
Yeah.
Count me in.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say this. I didn't love the ending. But I was already, and when I say I mean like the ending and like the last 5-10 minutes, whatever. Didn't love the last 5-10 minutes. But I was already so in love with the movie, it didn't really matter. It really didn't. It didn't take away anything from my enjoyment of the film. And that's one of the reasons why this movie is sitting at 100%. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Have you been looking forward to going to see this new movie with Dave Franco and Alison Brie together? I highly recommend it, and it's holding a rare 100% right now with over 50 reviews already being registered. Maybe you were like me and you saw one of the early fan screenings last night. If so, what did you think? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this, shall we? I didn't think Five Nights at Freddy's was all that good, to be honest with you.
No.
But a lot of people watched it, man, and it was very successful, especially for what it was. And a lot of people had a lot of fun with it, and that's awesome. And it was a no-brainer. Like, even I, somebody who didn't appreciate the film all that much, even I was like, well, of course you got to make a sequel. Of course you got to make a sequel. Well, the trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's 2 just came out. And as somebody who did not really like the first one, I got to say, it looks like this one's a big improvement. This looks fun. I mean, lowbrow fun,
Sure.
but fun nonetheless, man. I found myself watching this trailer and going, you know what? I actually kind of want to watch this. Because like a week ago, didn't have much interest. I kind of decided myself I wasn't even going to bother watching it.
Well, they showed a teaser at CinemaCon, and I was like, eh.
Right. I remember
Yeah, and
saying
I
that.
thought when they dropped this trailer, I thought it was just going to be what they showed us at CinemaCon. But it is not.
No, it is not.
It is better than what they showed
Way
us.
better.
So much better.
Oh, way better.
And for those of you wondering, what could the second one be about? Well, the good folks at Coming Soon give us this synopsis that reads as follows. The official synopsis reads, former security guard Mike and police officer Vanessa have kept the truth from Mike's 11-year-old sister Abby concerning the fate of her animatronic friends. But when Abby sneaks out to reconnect with Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, it will set into motion a terrifying series of events revealing dark secrets. I thought we got the dark secrets. About the true origin of Freddy. I thought we already got the true origin of Freddy's. About the true origins of Freddy's and unleashing a long forgotten horror hidden away for decades. You know what? This sounds preposterous, and I'm okay with that. It looks like, because you know what my problem with the first one was, Rob? It isn't the silliness or the schlockiness, because that can all work if you do it right and you make it really fun. I didn't have fun with the first one.
No.
This looks like fun. And I feel like if they can just take over some of the stuff from the first movie that won a lot of the audience over and just infuse it with a better flow, make it feel more fun to watch, like when you're playing the games themselves.
Yeah.
They could have something here. So I count myself now as being in line to see Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Anyway, you saw the trailer. What did you think about it?
Evil's left the building. I mean, as soon as you know that, okay, we're expanding this story and we're going to give it a little bit more scope, and I'm like, I'm in. You know, I thought the trailer was a vast improvement. I watched this and I had no interest in seeing this movie. This trailer did what it was supposed to do. It made me go, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
And I think it looks interesting. Again, Even a movie like Five Nights at Freddy's, you need to compel me with some kind of a good idea, something that's intriguing. And I'm like, oh, so they're going to go out into the real world. Like when you get to the end of the trailer and they're like in an amusement park and you see the one animatronic, was it the bear walking down the midway? I'm like, okay, you know, that's if
you know what was reminiscent of on a smaller scale? The Tron Ares trailer.
Yes.
You're taking that controlled environment out into the real world.
Yes.
The Tron one's on a larger scale.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. That's exactly right. You're seeing this thing. That's what you want. Give me what I want. And they're giving me what I want. Go Blumhouse.
All right, guys. Question is for you. Did you have a chance to see the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 trailer? I did. And listen, it did exactly what a trailer should do. Change your perception, move the needle, get you more excited for it, because I don't even think I was going to watch this movie. And now I'm kind of excited to see it. Whatever you thought about the trailer, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on and talk about this, shall we? You know, there's finally a He-Man movie coming. And the one thing that has me excited about it, because it's risky, man. This could go wrong so many ways. But the thing that has always given me hope for it is the guy directing it. The most important person when it comes to how good a movie's going to be, the director, Travis Knight. The guy who directed Kubo and the Two Strings, and then walked into a total scrap heap of rubble and made a Transformers movie called Bumblebee, and made it the best there had ever been. At least to this day, it's still the best live action Transformers movie. He somehow took the Transformers, gave them all the fun of the Transformers, but also gave it heart, and he just did a great job with it. This is the guy they went to go and get to direct He-Man Masters of the Universe. Well, they just released a little teaser the other day. It's not even a teaser. It's literally just a logo. That's fine, but it re-emphasized, as according to the Hollywood Reporter here, the fact that Masters of the Universe is coming out on June 5th. June 5th, 2026. So that's when it's coming. So I thought it would be fun, since they just kind of restated when the release date of it is, to take a look for a second and say, how is this He-Man going to do in relation to what it's going to be competing against? What's coming out against it, say 3 weeks in front and behind? And how's it going to hold up? So I pulled together a little bit of a list here. And here's what He-Man's going to have to be dealing with. Coming out right before it, the only thing significant coming out in the couple of weeks leading up to it is The Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, I don't think this movie's going to be, I don't think Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be $1 billion film or anything like that, but I don't even know if it's going to make $700 million, to be honest with you. But it won't need 700 to break even. So maybe it can make 5, 6, something like that. But that's what's already going to be in theaters. That's going to be on its second or third weekend by the time He-Man comes out, so it's going to have to deal with that a little bit. Then in the week after He-Man, because as of right now, it's got that June 5th date all to itself. I mean, when it comes to significant big movies. But the very next week, it's going to have to deal with whatever this untitled Steven Spielberg film is.
Two Empire, Two Son.
No, it's the big disclosure movie. It's softening us up for the actual 2027 shenanigans.
There we go. But on that same day, a movie I have no plans on watching, but I think a bunch of people are. Scary Movie 6.
Yeah, okay.
So you got the Steven Spielberg film and Scary Movie 6 opening on the same weekend. Then the weekend after that, once you get into the third weekend of He-Man, it's going to have to deal with Toy Story 5.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And listen, the Toy Stories, they just generate money. They just print money. And I don't think this one's going to be any different. And then once you go one more week after that, so still in that month of June, now by that point, you're in its fourth weekend. It's going to be tailing off anyway, but it's going to have to also now contend with Supergirl. Now, when you think about that, by the time He-Man gets to its fourth weekend, it will have in theaters against it a Steven Spielberg movie, Toy Story 5, Supergirl, and there's going to be a bunch of people going to see Toy Story 6 or Scary Movie 6. I'm not one of them, but a bunch of people will.
Neither am I.
So I don't know, man. Like, look, when they showed us the preview for Masters of the Universe at CinemaCon, that was the most needle moving moment for me. Like, I'm like, oh my, this actually looks like it could be really fun. but marketing it is going to be difficult because, the first pictures that came out didn't do it very many favors with Galsenstein. What's his name?
Exactly.
The guy. Yeah, that's the guy's name. That's his name,
Frankenstein.
right? The guy who's playing Gallenstein, whatever his name is, the kid playing He-Man. When the first images that came out of that are him running around in khakis and a pink sweater, and a weird haircut. Yeah, there it is. Those blue jeans, those weren't khakis. Although Tila looks great. But I mean, I don't think that did a lot for it. I just don't know how they're going to market this film. I think it's going to be a challenge. I know the CinemaCon presentation got me interested. I'm sold. I'm going to go see it. But I think there's going to be a lot of people on the fence. So it's going to have, without the external competition, Rob, I think it's going to be a difficult run for He-Man. Then you throw into that, opening all in its month, Toy Story 5, Supergirl, Steven Spielberg film. Right before it, Star Wars movie with Mandalorian and Grogu. Putting aside how good the movie could be, because with Travis Knight directing it, it could be great. It could be great. I just don't know how well it can actually do financially, Rob. I don't know. What's your perspective on all this?
Well, okay. Here's the thing. For this movie to work with today's audiences, it's all about the tone of the film. How is it going to feel? It's got to be somewhere between Lord of the Rings and the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot.
In terms of its tone. I think Travis Knight is the guy to do it. The guy, because he understands, his Bumblebee movie shows that he understands taking something, because the Transformers and He-Man as a property are pretty similar in terms of making you believe and bringing something like that into live action. He was able to inject with Haley Steinfeld and what all the effects and the robots. I mean, that could have gone south very quickly.
And I got to admit, John Cena was pretty good in it too.
Yeah, and so Travis Knight got it. And so I think Travis Knight is the guy to do this, but he's got somebody else with him that you could, and I can't stress this enough. Production designer Guy Dias, who has done production design movies like X2, Inception, Michael Mann's Black Hat, which, by the way, if you see the director's cut of that, is a vastly superior film. He has and Superman Returns too. He has a seriousness to his approach. He understands the assignment. He understands exactly the sweet spot between Lord of the Rings and Dungeons and Dragons, and the design work that was on display in that behind the scenes stuff, all the stuff on Eternia, what everything looked like, because it could look not good. If you had somebody not understanding, like, this movie can't just be Masters of the Universe. It has to be cool for modern audiences.
Yeah.
Like, you and I have to go and go, that was pretty badass. And that's where the tone comes in. And I think between the two of them and the approach, I mean, those costume designs, Idris Elba, Man at Arms.
So for those of you who don't know what
that
Rob's
shit
talking
was
about,
dope.
they showed us a full palette of all the costume designs.
Oh, wow.
I mean, Sorceress? That Sorceress outfit?
It looked really good. Like, listen, we don't know how the movie's going to turn out. We don't know how.
I have no idea.
But I'm going to tell you what, guys, the costume designs were spectacular.
And I think, I'm not sure, it's probably too early. I know that I saw something floated by about San Diego on a Masters of the Universe display. Like, maybe they got some at the Mattel booth or something. But I actually know Guy a little bit, and I talked to him about his approach, and he was just via a chat, and he said some really interesting things about, like, vehicles that weren't shown. He goes, "Oh no, that's in the movie." And my big thing, I asked him, I said, "Bro, Battle Cat?" Because they didn't. Really...
It's just gonna say Battle Cat,
and
we saw nothing of Battle Cat,
and he said Battle Cat's in the movie. Yeah, because they didn't show Battle Cat. I'm like, where's Battle Cat? Now, I don't need Cringer. I'm just saying, I don't need Cringer, but give me some Battle Cat action. And, and then there's the Wind Rider, that flying ship. I don't know if that's in the movie either, but I think I'm excited for this movie, man. I think it's either going to be badass or it's going to be
ass bad.
Or ass bad.
You know what my big hesitation is? The decision that they brought it to Earth. Because when I hear that of them bringing it to Earth, I instantly think of Dolph Lundgren on a quest to get DJ Jazzy Jeff's synthesizer. It's the musical notes, man. It's going to open the port. I just, although that did mean he got to meet Courtney Cox. So that's pretty good.
I think they know that. Because none of the stuff they really showed the behind the scenes of was on Earth. I think that is probably a small...
No, but all the photos that have come out is he's fighting mall cops.
Right, but that was like in
battles mall cops.
Yeah, that's right. Look, I don't think that Travis Knight, because Travis Knight gets it. He grew up with this.
Yes,
stuff.
he does.
He grew up with this. Nobody wants to see He-Man on Earth. I mean, give us Eternia, baby. That's what we want. We want Castle Grayskull.
I mean, I get it's just a different situation, a different era. I do still believe that Travis Knight is going to be revered like people used to kind of revere Tim Burton. And I don't see, based on his craftsmanship and his vision, why he shouldn't be.
Well, now he needs...
Well, he needs
more
this.
stuff. Well, he needs this, and he needs more on his resume.
Yeah.
Because right now his only theatrical feature film directorial stuff has been Kubo and the Two Strings and Bumblebee.
Right.
But both he knocked it out of the park. But you're right, he needs this.
I mean, look, the guy was like, as a young man, was a rapper. Travis Knight. And
look at who his dad is.
Yeah, I know.
Of course he gets into that stuff.
But it was interesting because, you know, I go back to the fact, I only talked to him for a little bit, but I sat down and interviewed him for this Hasbro licensing show. And he's a really smart, thoughtful guy. And this was before he started shooting Bumblebee. And even though I, was with him for like an hour, it was very apparent to me that he has the stuff. And I was like, he gets it because he grew up with it. And like, he genuinely loves this stuff. And like the Transformers thing, he talked about it like the Blues Brothers. He was on a mission from God to make a great Transformers film. And I can only imagine that I'm sure he jumped into this feet first going, I can't wait to make this movie.
Now, here's the question. Will they have the guts? Can the studio and Disney make an agreement where we can get an MCU and He-Man universe crossover and we have the adventures of Fisto and Mephisto McFisting? If they can do that, that movie is printing money. McFisting. It's Mephisto and Fisto on a big road trip adventure. And as they travel, their adventures are called McFisting. So that movie writes itself, my friend.
Look, I think the design work that we saw alone makes me excited for the approach. And I think, look, coming out from Amazon, they've got an incredible slate, of movies.
They do.
And I think that with the new people they have installed there, they're really gunning for top dog status. I mean, they want to turn MGM, an Amazon studio, into something that is a powerhouse, and they're all in on theatrical. So, man, I think they know. I mean, I'm not going to compare this to Lord of the Rings, but I think that they would think they want it to be their Lord of the Rings.
Well, you know what? It is Comic-Con this week, so maybe they'll drop a first teaser other than just the little logo thing. Who knows? We'll find out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? So it's going to be kind of a full month that it comes out in. How is it going to do without the competition? How's it going to do against that competition? What do you think out of all those movies we listed is going to be the one that really gives He-Man problems at the box office? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? It is indeed game day. Fantastic Four comes out for the whole public to see today. We are now, from the start of my screening, 2 hours and 11 minutes from the start of our screening.
TikTok.
So we're probably going to end today's show a little bit earlier than normal so we can get ready, grab something to eat quick, get over to the theater and all that kind of stuff. But it's happening today. And it means we're going to get to find out how has the public been responding to the idea of a Fantastic Four film and how they've been responding to the marketing. Of course, the only way to really tell how the audience and the fans and the public have been responding to everything they've seen so far is by the opening weekend box office. Where is it going to come? Well, here we are. And the final projections that they give are at landing upwards of $120 million. That's what they're saying is kind of the upper thing is $120 million. Now, I want to put that into perspective. If Fantastic Four We're not going to compare it to the other Fantastic Four movies. Those all had other dramas. We understand that this Fantastic Four movie is going to be dealing with the baggage that there have been 4, if you count the Corman one, there have been 4 totally failure Fantastic Four movies. And somebody else is taking another crack at it now. But let's take a look at how that would compare. If it does make 120 million, as they're saying it can do, in context, that would be pretty impressive, because take a look at this. These are all the opening weekends for the Marvel Cinematic Universe since 2022 happened. Marvel's opened at 46 million. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 opened to 118. Guardians 3 was so good. Ant-Man 3 opened to 106. Deadpool and Wolverine, obviously the king of all of them, the biggest opening weekend in a long time, $211 million. Captain America 4 opened to $88.8 million, and Thunderbolts opened to $74.3. In this environment, if Fantastic Four can hit that 120 mark, other than Deadpool and Wolverine, it would be the biggest opening weekend the Marvel's had since 2022. Now, that's the year, 2022, by the way, that's the year that Black Panther 2 came out. And it had a very impressive opening weekend. I think it was 100, might have been 180 for Black Panther 2, at any rate. So this would mean that other than Deadpool and Wolverine in the last number of years, this would be the biggest outing they've had. And if you had asked me 2 years ago, when we knew Fantastic Four was going to be coming, would I think, with all the things that comes along with it, that this is like literally the 5th iteration of the damn thing, that it would be, out of the 7 movies around it, be the second biggest one, only second to Deadpool and Wolverine? I would have said that's a tall order, but it could actually happen. Rob, you're seeing the final projections now for Fantastic Four, a movie we're going to see in like 2 hours, which I'm very excited about.
Well, I won't be.
Oh, you know, because you're going to be hitting the road.
I'm going to Comic-Con. I've got a panel at 3 and a panel at 4 today. So I'll see y'all in San Diego.
Are you going to get to see it tonight? Are you going to be able to go out tonight and see
I don't know. Probably not until Saturday.
Oh, dude, that sucks.
I know.
By the way, guys, just so you know, too, Fantastic Four open spoiler discussion Sunday. Sundays are like when I like to do the open spoiler discussion. It gives everybody a good long chance to go and see the movie. So open spoiler discussion for Fantastic Four here on the channel on Sunday. Book it. Anyway. Your takeaway from all this, and how do you think it's ultimately going to do?
I think first of all, I think it's probably, you got to give it up for Marvel and Disney for their marketing leading up to the release of this film. They've been absolutely killing it, crushing it. Everything from you're allowed to pre-order the Galactus popcorn box from AMC Direct to all the clips they've released from the film. They have created a fervor, I think, for this movie, and I think the marketing has been great. They couldn't have handled it better, I think. And so I think the awareness is there. I think this movie could do quite well. And coming off of that retro Superman, you know, like I told you, when I walked in here, I listened to Dan Murrell's review, and he equated it to Superman. A lot of people are talking about that retro, or that how they have a similar way.
That 1960s futuristic kind of
all of that. And I think, you know, rising tide raises all ships. Superman made $10 million on Tuesday.
That's crazy.
Again. So I don't know how it did on Wednesday, but I think people are primed to go to the movies and have a good time. And everybody is saying that this movie is really satisfying. They say it's the best Marvel movie in a long time. And I've heard people also say Thunderbolts was, everyone who seems to like Thunderbolts, it was a good lead-in. This is the beginning of phase 6 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And people are saying it does it in grand fashion. And I think word will get out. It would not surprise me if this movie makes in excess of $120 million. And good for them. They deserve it. I want to see the MCU back. And hopefully everyone, I'm looking forward to loving this movie. I'm really excited.
Again, we talked about this the other day, but I think it should be brought up again. I don't think it's a coincidence, because, you know, you brought up the phrase again, a rising tide raises all ships, right? We said in the weeks leading up to Superman coming up, we said that the biggest beneficiary of Superman doing well with the audience and people having a good time with it will be Fantastic Four. Because if you go to the theaters and you have a great time at a superhero comic book movie, if you have a great time, you are more likely, the chances of you coming back to the next one go up exponentially. That's proven. And we said Fantastic Four just comes out weeks after it. And it's not coincidence that the projections were around $100 million for Fantastic Four, once Superman opened and all these 93% audience scores, whatever cinema score, all of a sudden the opening weekend projections for Fantastic Four went up. And I think there's going to be a lot of people double fisting this weekend. I think there's going to be a lot of people.
What? McFistin?
Double McFistos.
Whoa.
Are going to be double fisting this weekend and going to, in one hand, one fist holding a ticket to Superman and one hand holding a ticket to Fantastic Four and doubling up this weekend. Again, Fantastic Four is going to make a hell of a lot more money than Superman is this weekend, but I think there's going to be a lot of people going for a double header.
I mean,
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reviews are still 200 reviews, 88, almost 9 out of 10 people loved it or liked it. I should say.
Well, the last I saw was 85. What's it at
88
now? It's gone back up to 88
with 200 reviews, 88.
Okay, so there you go. Because it was at like 89 with just a handful of reviews in. I saw it drop as low as 85, but it's gone up since then several points, back up to 88, which is pardon the pun, fantastic. I mean, and again, Rob, it's been so long since I could say that I've gone to 3 comic book films in a row that I loved. It's been a long time. If Fantastic Four can deliver, I'll finally be able to say it again, because the previous 3, it would mean the previous 3 I would have seen is Fantastic Four, Superman, and Thunderbolts. And I love Thunderbolts and I love Superman. And if this one can deliver and not be, well, let's say a lot of the other Marvel stuff that's been hit or miss, it'll be the first time in forever I'll be able to say 3 in a row, man.
Yeah.
3 in a row. How good would that be?
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? How big of an opening weekend do you think this movie can have? I mean, generally we're asking, how good of a job do you think they did in really marketing and getting the audience excited for this film? The only way to know the answer to that is to see the box office results for the opening weekend. How do you think it's going to do? And what do you think about that? If it does come in at 120 million, that means it's going to be other than Deadpool and Wolverine at 211, it's going to be the biggest one they've had since 2022. It's going to be beating out 5 other Marvel films that's come out before it, including Guardians 3 and Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts and all that kind of stuff. How big of a deal do you think that is? How big or little do you think it'll do opening weekend? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with all that down, it's time for us to go over and take your live comments and questions. We got 2 things we got to do first. First, we're going to bid good day and safe travels to Robert Meyer Burnett as he travels down to San Diego for Comic-Con.
I'm going to listen to Lana Del Rey's Norman F. and Rockwell has become my I don't know why, I've been doing it for years now to listen to that record.
When you go down to San Diego?
That album's masterpiece.
Drive safe, man. I will talk to you a little bit later.
All right, man.
And the second thing we need to do, of course, before moving on to your comments and questions, is we're going to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. You know, it feels like workplace stress is higher than ever these days, and I was just reading that about 61% of the global workforce is dealing with above normal levels of stress, and honestly, it's not surprising. When you're stuck in endless Zoom meetings, juggling deadlines, or just trying to keep your head above water, it adds up. Now sure, a quick vacation sounds nice, but let's be real. It's not a long-term fix. What's helped me is building small wellness habits. For me, it's things like getting outside in the sun for a few minutes, or squeezing in a brisk walk during breaks. But for a lot of people, sometimes that's just not enough, and that's where therapy can really help. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform with over 30,000 therapists who've already helped over 5 million people worldwide. Their app is super convenient. You can meet with a therapist with just a click, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists anytime. And just listen to the user reviews. The BetterHelp app has a 4.9 out of 5 from over 1.7 million reviews. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, let's get over to your comments and questions. No, I'm just going to let you guys know we are going to have a shorter show today because We got to get ourselves ready and get over to watch Fantastic Four, but we'll get through as many as we can here right now. So, Jonathan, what we got up first?
We got Garden Variety. I haven't watched it yet, but I just saw the last week. Katie Sackhoff had Alan Tudyk on her podcast.
Oh, nice.
Just wanted to put this on people's radar. As we all know, it will be amazing.
Those are two of my favorite people in entertainment. I don't know either of them personally. I've met both of them, but I don't know either of them. But those are two of my favorite people. I think Katie Sackhoff is just wonderful. You know, Katie reminds me a lot of Aaron Cummings. She reminds me a lot of Aaron Cummings. Anyway, Alan Tudyk is like just a hero of mine, so I definitely got to check out that episode. All right, what's next?
We got Enjoy FF on Thursday. Love what you are doing. Never got a chance to say how much I love Superman. Was hard not seeing it with my late father when we watched the Reeves one every year, but I know he would have loved it. And in the ending, I saw all my photos were all punk rockers.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you what. I'm not, this is not hyperbole. This is not exaggeration. Every day, at least once, I put on that Iggy Pop and Teddy Bear song.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've been trying to see if it's like, if Spotify has just blown up, because
that happens,
because no one has listened to that thing in a minute,
but it's all over now. It's all over my YouTube feed,
yeah.
And different versions of it and stuff like that. I even came across this one of this Indian group with what I can only assume are like classic Indian instruments, almost playing like a Bollywood kind of version of I'm a punk rocker for the end piece of Superman. It was awesome. Anyway, that ending when he's just looking up at stuff of his family, it makes me feel so good emotionally. Like, it's just a gorgeous, wonderful piece. All right, what's next?
We got Joshua, who says, "Hey John, here's my non-spoiler review for F4. It's most complete, fun, enjoyable MCU film I've seen in years. Would have it in my top 5 MCU movies. I don't want to oversell it. All I'm saying is it's aight. P.S. That mid-credit scene."
Look, I don't believe it'll be better than Thunderbolts. I like Thunderbolts. I'm not saying Thunderbolts is top 5 either, but Thunderbolts was great. I'm not expecting to like it as much as Thunderbolts, and that's okay. I'm just hoping to have a really good time. If I come out of Fantastic Four liking it more than Thunderbolts, I'm going to be extremely happy.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Garden Variety. When we discuss the heart and writing of Superman, it speaks to James Gunn's own empathy, because if you don't have that type of thought in yourself, you can't write it in a character.
I've been very lucky that I've actually had a chance to sit down and talk with James Gunn on a couple of occasions. And not to give the impression like we're friends or anything like that, but I've always been tremendously impressed by him and how just remarkably authentic he really is. Like that, the first time I met him was when he came into studio. Remember that time he came in with him and Kevin Feige? They came into studio and we did this special live thing, and they were there for like an hour, but they also came in like 45 minutes early, and we just got to hang out with them for about 45 minutes. And then they hung around afterwards for a while. And like James was I was just so impressed with them. And then I had a chance at a couple of premieres to hang out and chat with him a bit. And just how passionate he is about film and how passionate he is about the art and how much he loves to bring the beautiful things of life and the ridiculous things of life into his movies. And I think Superman is a great example of that, because in a movie about an alien that shoots lasers out of his eyes, it's incredibly grounded and heartfelt and feels very emotionally relatable throughout it. And that takes a special filmmaker to do that. All right, what's next?
Passionately indifferent. My mixed top 10 of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. 1 would be Empire Strikes Back, followed by Return of the King, Two Towers, New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Fellowship of the Ring, Force Awakens, Unexpected Journey, Rogue One, Desolation of Smaug. Watch it in that order.
Yeah, so it's one big movie. I mean, to me, it's still Star Wars above everything else. And when I say Star Wars, I always have to preface this whenever people ask me all the time, John, what are your favorite movies of all time? I would say, okay, I always got to preface it. I say, when I say Star Wars, I mean New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi. I just kind of count that as one thing. Because even if I were just doing it out in a numerical list, those would be my top 3 anyway. And contrary to some of my fellow Star Wars loving brethren, I always put Return of the Jedi is number one. Return of the Jedi is my favorite. It's 1A, and 1B. And then I always count Lord of the Rings as one thing. So when I'm telling people my list, I say Star Wars, but understand that means all three. And when I say Lord of the Rings, I mean all three. So that's just kind of me. All right, what's next?
Amin says, I know you're definitely going to drive to Toronto with the van. Not sure when you're planning that, but any chance you maybe aim for September to come for TIFF? It's the 50th anniversary this year. Regardless, can't wait until you come back to the homeland.
I would love to, except deep breaths, John.
Yeah, well, I'm right there with you because I already know what you're feeling. I'm like, that's scary, and it shouldn't be.
Right now, there are a lot of people without explanation and without reason being detained and imprisoned for hours, days, and weeks. In some cases, months, with no explanation, who are, and some people green card holders like me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a green card holder. I am a legal, permanent U.S. resident. I'm not a citizen, but I am a legal U.S. permanent resident. That's what a green card is. And there have been so many, I've had friends of mine sending me Canadian news stories about Canadians getting detained at the border with no explanation and then being thrown into a room for 3 days. And right now, I desperately want to drive up to Canada. But it's dangerous right now, thanks to a certain individual. It's dangerous right now. And so I don't know. I've been talking with immigration lawyers and stuff like that about trying to figure out a way to do it where I can pretty much ensure if I go across the border, I'll be able to come back. I own a home, I own a business, I have a family here, all that kind of stuff. I got to be careful. But yeah, it's just difficult. So I hope to make it up to Canada really, really soon. I'm just not exactly sure when I'll be able to do it because right now this country's being run like a Gestapo.
I'm an American citizen. I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't feel safe for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, that's why I was not able, while I was able to go and be with my mom when she died, I got detained coming back. Now, granted, I only got detained for about an hour, but I got detained coming back for no reason. And when they planned my mom's memorial service, they planned it like 2 months later because my dad wanted to do it on her birthday, a celebration of life on her birthday. My whole family told me, John, don't come. Like, it's just, you were here for mom when mom was here. It's too much of a risk right now. And my family said, don't risk it. We know you're here in spirit, but don't risk it. I had to miss my mom's memorial service. And so I don't know when I'll be able to come back. I hope it's soon, though. I hope it's soon. All right. What's next?
We got Joe R. Hi, John. Saw Fantastic Four last night and loved it. Was a huge breath of fresh air for the MCU. Unfortunately, however, my screening didn't have trailers, so I didn't get to see the Avatar trailer. You must have, because he did a fan screening. How long would your guess be till it's online?
That's a good question. So for those of you who don't know, we talked about this on the show the other day. Avatar is dropping its trailer exclusively in theaters, not online, in front of Fantastic Four. Now, I'm sure there's going to be bootlegs of it. Like, I'm sure there's going to be that. But do you want your first experience watching that trailer to be some crappy cell phone bootleg? Probably not. My guess is, and I don't have any real information, my guess is probably about a month. I'd say probably in about a month, we'll probably get the trailer online. All right, what's next?
Edward Wells says, real life Final Destination. A man was injured after being pulled into an MRI machine in Long Island last week.
Heard about that.
Wearing a metal chain pulled off his feet into the machine, died this week. That was really sad. And
I heard the dude got injured. I didn't hear he died.
Yeah, and it was open MRI, which means it's like a bed, so it's not, you don't go in the tube. It's for people that are claustrophobic, and yet even that still injured him. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw the report on that, but when I read the report, the dude was still alive. That's so sad that dude died. I'm sorry to hear about that. All right, what's next?
At Curtain Call Films. Good day, John. A huge fan, writing you from Australia. I kind of got the idea from the good day. What are your thoughts on the 2023 movie The Creator? I think it's one of the most underrated films from the last decade that didn't get the attention it deserved.
I thought it was a very good film, and especially impressive when you considered the visual effects in that movie and the relatively extremely low budget. Like, what was the budget on that? Can you look it up for me, Jonathan?
The Creator?
I think it was 80 million.
Okay, yeah, it sounds familiar.
I think it was 80 million, but it had the visual effects of a top tentpole Star Wars or MCU movie.
80.
It was 80.
Yeah.
Okay. The visual effects in that movie were unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, absolutely unbelievable. And Terrence Fisher in the live chat saying, yeah, it was shot with a Sony VX30, which is basically a very inexpensive, like, we're talking $3,000. Now, I'm sure they rigged it out, but it's basically the spiritual big brother to this camera I have. I have the Sony 6500, A6500. The Sony VX30 basically kind of uses the same, it's grandfathered sensor in a bigger full frame sensor. And it's basically the big brother of this. And they shot the whole movie in that. And the visual effects are some of the best I've seen in years. Now, overall, I thought the movie was very good. I didn't think it was like a top 5 best film of the year or anything like that, but I thought it was a very good film. And what they were able to do with the money was just crazy. All right, what's next? The people correct me if I was right. It wasn't the FX30, it was the FX3. Now, the FX30 has the same sensor as the one in this Sony A6500. The Sony FX3 has the full frame sensor, I believe. But anyway, they're obviously spiritual cousins to each other as well.
Still a small handheld camera.
Yeah, a small, portable, little camera that looks just like this one.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
That goal horn guy. Hey, John, I'm fortunate to live nearby an actual 70mm IMAX in Fort Lauderdale,
Nice.
Florida. I'm curious about your experience because my biggest pet peeve with mine is they don't offer advanced seat selection. They're stuck in the 90s. Is that the same with you?
No. No. That's, to me, that is a non-starter.
Philistines.
If your theater does not have, and I can't remember the last time I saw a theater that didn't have it, but if I'm trying to go to your theater and your theater does not have pre-assigned seating, you're never getting my business. Ever. Before
John's van will not be there.
My van will not be at your theater. Before my big banner issue was ads before movies, that's my big crusade these days, is trying to get rid of as many of the ads before movies as possible. But before that one, for years, my main crusade as an online movie pundit was for movie theaters in North America to finally adopt pre-assigned seating. Guys, for those of you who are a lot younger, it was not long ago that we didn't have pre-assigned seating in movie theaters. If there was a big movie opening up, let's say Fantastic Four, I couldn't be doing the show today because I would have already needed to have been in line for the last 3 hours. And the reason you have to be in line for like 3 hours is because with no pre-assigned seating, you're not guaranteed to get a spot. And if you get a spot, you might be in one of the neck breakers. And I said for years, like every other country in the world, or most other countries in the world, were civilized and we were still living in the Stone Ages. You have pre-assigned seatings on everything. The game you go to, you have a pre-assigned seat. The plane you get on, unless it's Southwest, but the plane you get on has a pre-assigned seat. The concert you go to, unless you're sitting in the pit, you have a pre-assigned seat. Everything had pre-assigned seats, except for movie theaters. It was the stupidest thing ever. And finally, after years and years and years and years, we now finally have it. But that sucks. But no, that is not common for IMAX screens. Every IMAX screen I've ever been to, at least in the last 10 years, has always had pre-assigned seats. Talk to the manager at your theater, man, and tell them you got to change this. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
Okay, we got Blake. Superman is now at 84 on Rotten Tomatoes with 445 reviews.
Also, it's gone up again.
Fantastic Four is actually at 88 with 200 views. It's clear both films are a hit with critics, but John, when the dust settles, which movie has a higher score? Seeing Fantastic Four tonight, love Superman. Hope I love this one too.
I mean, Fantastic Four already has that many reviews. It's not going to move much from 88. It might drop one or two, it might go up one or two, but it's roughly where it's going to be. And Superman isn't going to climb much more. It might climb one more, it might drop one more. So it looks like Fantastic Four is going to end up with a 2 or 3 percentage points higher critic score, which is great. Now, how I score it, I don't know yet. I'm going to know that in 1 hour and 45 minutes. Well, at least that's when my movie's going to start, in 1 hour and 45 minutes. So
yeah, the audience score will be interesting.
The audience score is going to be very interesting.
Because it's 92 right now for Superman.
So that's going to be very, very interesting. Hopefully it will be in the 90s as well. Hopefully. And we'll see if it does. All right, guys. Now, sorry, like I said at the beginning, we're not going to be able to get through all the questions that got sent in. Don't worry, though. If we didn't get around to your question, we will absolutely address it tomorrow. So just hang tight in there for that. Because we're going to end today's show a little bit early so we can go and get ready to go see Fantastic Four. Watch for my out-of-theater review. It will be up in just a few hours, I suppose. Well, I'm going to see it at 2, probably ends at about 5. Give me an hour to get it posted. So probably about 6 o'clock my time. I'll have it up. So keep your guys' eyes open for that. And we'll be back again tomorrow for the John Campea Show. Hopefully you guys will be joining us as well. Again, don't forget, you guys, we will do the open spoiler discussion for Fantastic Four on Sunday. So just mark that off in your calendar and be ready for that. So big thank you to Robert Meyer Burnett. Thank you to our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
Big thank you for you guys. Next time you see my face, it'll be the face of a man who has seen Fantastic Four. I'm very excited about it. Talk to you guys later. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.